Risotto is one of the great rice dishes of the world. So why do you see it mostly in restaurant kitchens? Because it takes about 30 minutes of constant stirring over a hot stove in order to make this creamy rice dish. That is, unless you make it in a crock pot or a slow cooker, as they're generally known. Crock pot risotto is one of the innovative recipes in this cookbook, Not Your Mother's Slow Cooker Cookbook by Beth Hensberger and Julie Kaufman. Instead of making it in 30 minutes over a hot stove, you make it in 2.5 hours in a crock pot. But all the cooking is done, most of the cooking is done while you're away doing something else. Because it does take just 2.5 hours to make, this isn't the kind of recipe that you would, say, put on in the morning and then go to work and come home hoping to have dinner 8 hours later. This is the kind of recipe that you'd make on your day off or especially for a dinner party. If you'd like to spend a lot of time with your guests instead of in the kitchen, you can put all the ingredients in your crock pot and just let the crock pot do the work. Now, the recipe in this book is made with risotto, which is risotto rice, also called arborio rice. Now, this is a special Italian kind of rice. You see those fat, chubby little grains. These grains will absorb many times their weight in liquid. And what this does is it turns it into a creamy, wonderful mass. It's also made with, our risotto is made with aromatic vegetable. In this case, it is a shallot. Now, a shallot kind of looks like a cross between a clove of garlic and an onion, and that's what it tastes like too. Now, you would chop it just like you do an onion. Now, I like to chop onions by cutting it right down the middle. This is the easy way to do it. Cutting off the ends, and then the shell peels off much easier. See that? This is the chef's way to peel onions or shallots. Now, this recipe does require a little bit of time at the stove. What we're going to do is saute the shallot and the arborio rice with a little bit of white wine in a skillet. And what this does to the rice is it allows it to be coated. Also, we're going to use a little bit of oil. It coats every grain of rice with oil so that they don't stick together in the crock pot later and turn into a gluey mess. So this is very simple. Heat a medium pan over a burner. We're going to warm up about 1/4 cup of olive oil. Now, you don't have to use extra virgin olive oil for this, even though extra virgin is what, all the cooks talk about in magazines. Actually, extra virgin is more expensive, and you should save that for your salads and vegetables. When you cook olive oil, any olive oil, it's going to change the flavor. So why waste your extra virgin olive oil? Regular olive oil will do just fine. Now we're going to chop these puppies. Just chop those shallots up roughly. And saute them over medium heat in the olive oil for about 3 or 4 minutes, or until they're softened. What you don't want to do is get them brown. Turn that up just a little bit. After the onions have softened, we'll add a little bit of dry white wine. I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc. Costs about $6 a bottle. You don't want the most expensive wine for cooking, but you don't want unpalatable wine either. Add the wine, and then we add the rice, the arborio rice. Now we'll stir that up just a little bit and let that cook for 2 or 3 minutes, just until the grains of rice become translucent. Now here you can see the grains of rice are just translucent around the edges. They're not going to get translucent in the middle kernel until they're totally cooked in the crock pot. But you can see how that's just perfect now. Okay, we'll turn that off. That's all the cooking that's required. Now we're turning the crock pot on to high and adding 3 3/4 cups of chicken stock and the rice mixture from the skillet. Look at that. Normally your work would just be beginning if you were making risotto, but you're almost done. Go, stir it just a little bit. Add about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon salt. Put the lid on. And while that cooks, we're going to grate a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Now, classic risotto is simply rice stirred with broth until creamy. And at the end, you stir in a little knob of butter, if you'd like, and some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Now, the quality of the cheese is important. Don't use the shaker jar cheese. You can use the pre-grated cheese that comes in these little packages in your dairy section. But with the advent of tools such as this grater, grating your own cheese is very easy. Watch how fast you can grate a hunk of Parmesan cheese, and this will save you money. And you can keep the cheese well wrapped in the freezer between cookings. Isn't that beautiful? This does make it a little bit fluffy with these bar graters, so you want to pack it down a little bit. And we won't add that until the risotto is ready to serve, so we'll just go away and let that cook a while. Now the risotto should be done now. About 5 minutes ago, I added some lightly steamed asparagus to it. You can vary this risotto in a lot of ways. You can add just about any vegetable, steam it beforehand, just a little bit, and add it right to the rice, put the lid back on, and cook it 5 minutes more. Now let's see how this is. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Now, right before serving, you stir in about 3/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. This is yummy. At this point, you can turn your slow cooker to low if you have to. It's best to serve it right away, but if you have to, you can turn it to low and keep it on low and hold it for about an hour. This is beautiful. It's such a pretty dish. Now in Italy, they serve risotto as a first course. Many times in this country it is served as the main course or as a side dish. Isn't that beautiful now?